Carlos Alcaraz just made tennis history at the Australian Open, and the ATP is absolutely losing its mind. The 22-year-old Spaniard just accomplished something that took Djokovic until 29, Federer until 27, and Nadal until 24 to achieve. He beat Novak Djokovic in the final to complete the career Grand Slam, and the way he did it has everyone talking. At 22 years old completing a career Grand Slam, is Carlos Alcaraz already on track to surpass the Big Three's legacies?
Alcaraz conquers Australia.
So let's talk about what just happened in Melbourne. Carlos Alcaraz walked into the Australian Open final against Novak Djokovic, a 38-year-old legend who's won this tournament 10 times and never lost a final there. And he didn't just win, he came back from losing the first set to absolutely dismantle Djokovic, 2-6, 6-2, 6-3, 7-5. That's not just winning, that's making a statement.
I called Carlos Alcaraz greedy after he beat Alexander Zverev in that epic 5.5-hour semifinal because he just cannot help winning instant classic 5-set matches nowadays. But he took that greed to a whole other level today. He was already the youngest man to reach world #1, the youngest to win majors on all 3 different surfaces, and now with this Australian Open Finals win over Novak Djokovic, he's the youngest to achieve the career slam at just 22 years old.
The significance of this win goes way beyond just another trophy. Alcaraz is now the youngest man in the Open era to complete a career Grand Slam. Let that sink in for a second. The Big Three, Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, are considered the greatest players to ever touch a tennis racket. And this 22-year-old kid just did something faster than any of them. Djokovic was 29 when he completed his. Federer was 27, Nadal was 24, Alcaraz is 22. But here's what makes it even more ridiculous. He's also the youngest man in the Open era to win 7 Grand Slam titles, breaking the record previously held by Bjorn Borg. 7 slams at 22. Most players would be thrilled to win 7 slams in their entire career. Alcaraz has 7 before he can even rent a car in some countries without extra fees.
How good is this final already?
The match itself was absolutely brutal for Djokovic. He came out firing in the first set, clearly understanding that his best chance was to end this thing quickly. He dominated that opening set, winning it 6-2 in just 33 minutes. He was serving accurately, hitting winners from everywhere and looking like the Djokovic who's terrorized the tour for 2 decades. For those 33 minutes, it looked like experience was going to beat youth. Then everything changed. Third game of the second set, scores tied 15-15, Alcaraz hits a forehand that clips the net cord and drops just out of Djokovic's reach. Pure luck, but sometimes luck matters. Djokovic then makes an unforced error off his forehand, something he basically never does in big moments. And suddenly Alcaraz has 2 breakpoints. He converts immediately, and just like that, the entire momentum of the match shifts.
What can you say?
From that moment on, Djokovic looked like he was fighting a losing battle. Not because he wasn't trying. The guy was giving everything he had. But Alcaraz was just too good. The drop shots were landing perfectly. The defense was absurd. The creativity was overwhelming. Djokovic would hit what should be a winner. And Alcaraz would somehow not only get to it, but turn it into his own offensive shot. The physical element can't be ignored either. Both players had gone through 5-set semifinals on Friday. Alcaraz beat Alexander Zverev in a match where he was cramping and visibly struggling physically. Djokovic beat world #2 Jannik Sinner in another 5-setter. Both guys should have been exhausted. But only one of them played like it, and spoiler alert, it wasn't the 22-year-old. Djokovic is 38 years old. That's ancient in tennis years. The fact that he even made it to the final after that brutal semifinal is impressive. But age catches everyone eventually, and watching him try to keep up with Alcaraz's pace in that match was almost sad. This is a guy who has 24 Grand Slam titles, who's dominated tennis for over a decade, and he just couldn't match the energy and creativity of someone 16 years younger. The fourth set was where you could really see Djokovic fighting against the inevitable. Alcaraz had already won the second and third sets pretty comfortably. Early in the fourth, Djokovic faced 6 breakpoints during one absolutely mammoth 12-minute game. He somehow held and celebrated like he'd won the match. Just holding serve required that much effort and emotion. That tells you everything about where the match was at that point. But even that heroic hold wasn't enough. When Djokovic was serving to stay in the match, Alcaraz got 2 championship points and Djokovic fired a forehand long, trying to go on offense. That's how it ended. Not with Djokovic getting overwhelmed, but with him trying to be aggressive and just not being able to execute. The legs weren't there. The timing was slightly off. Age is undefeated. Now let's talk about what this actually means for tennis. The Big Three era is officially over. We've been saying it's ending for years, but this is the final nail in the coffin. Djokovic hasn't won a Grand Slam since the 2023 US Open. He's 38 and clearly declining. Federer is retired. Nadal just retired and was sitting in the stands watching his protege complete the career slam faster than he did. Alcaraz and Sinner are the future. Actually, scratch that. They're the present. These aren't young prospects anymore. They're the best players in the world right now. Alcaraz is world number 1 and just proved why by beating the greatest player of all time in a Grand Slam final. Sinner is world number 2 and took Djokovic to 5 sets in the semis despite losing. The changing of the guard isn't coming. It's already happened.
You know, I don't think we could possibly overemphasize what Carlos Alcaraz has just achieved at the Australian Open, winning his first ever major title down under, and it means he completes the set, the career Grand Slam, all 4 majors, and he's done it at the age of just 22, the youngest player ever to do so. And whatever happened in this final, it was going to be historic. Djokovic was hoping to become, at the age of 38, the oldest ever player to win a major singles title. And if he did so, he would have had 25 Grand Slam singles titles to his name. That would have been a new record. But instead, it's Alcaraz who takes all the plaudits. And consider this. Alcaraz now has 7 major titles to his name. That is more than Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer had when they were the same age. And so this guy's already a legend, but he's only just getting started.
The speed at which Alcaraz has achieved this is honestly absurd. He won his first Grand Slam at the 2022 US Open when he was 19. That's 3 years ago. In 3 years, he's gone from winning his first slam to completing the career slam. The progression isn't normal. Most players take their entire careers to win all 4 majors, if they even manage it at all. Alcaraz did it before his body is even fully developed. Let's put this in perspective with some historical context. Only 5 other men have completed the career Grand Slam in the Open era. Rod Laver, Andre Agassi, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Novak Djokovic. That's the entire list. Alcaraz is now the 6th member of arguably the most exclusive club in tennis, and he's by far the youngest to ever do it. The Big Three all needed their mid to late 20s to complete it. Alcaraz did it at 22. That's not just breaking the record, that's demolishing it. And it's not like he squeaked into the club by winning some weak-era slam. He beat Novak Djokovic, the guy with 24 Grand Slams, in the Australian Open final. He beat the final boss to complete the achievement. The athletic ability Alcaraz showed in this match is what separates him from basically everyone else on tour. Djokovic would hit shots that should end rallies, and Alcaraz would somehow track them down and flip them into winners. The court coverage is superhuman. The shot-making is creative in ways that even veterans with decades of experience can't predict. That combination is basically unbeatable when he's playing his best. His drop shot was particularly lethal in this match. Djokovic is one of the best defensive players in tennis history, but Alcaraz's drop shots were so perfectly placed and disguised that even Djokovic couldn't consistently get to them. When you can neutralize someone's biggest strength with one specific shot, that's complete dominance. The mental side is impressive too. Losing that first set 6-2 in 33 minutes could have broken a lot of players. Against Djokovic in a Grand Slam final, going down a set that quickly could easily lead to a straight sets loss. But Alcaraz didn't panic. He made adjustments, found his rhythm, and completely turned the match around. That's champion mentality. What's also interesting is how gracious both players were afterward. Alcaraz praised his team, who've been under pressure since he split with longtime coach Juan Carlos Ferrero 6 weeks ago. He thanked Djokovic for inspiring him. He acknowledged Nadal in the stands. For someone who just made history, he was remarkably humble about it. Djokovic, despite the disappointment of losing what might be his last real chance at a 25th Grand Slam, was equally gracious. He called Alcaraz's achievements historic and legendary. He joked about not facing him for the next 10 years. Even in defeat, he showed the class that's made him respected despite being the villain for much of his career. But let's be real about Djokovic's situation. This loss probably marks the end of his Grand Slam winning days. He's 38 years old. The windows of opportunity are closing fast. With Alcaraz and Sinner both in their early 20s and playing at an insane level, Djokovic breaking Margaret Court's record of 24 slams and getting that 25th seems increasingly unlikely. This might have been his best shot, and it wasn't enough. The ATP has to be thrilled about this storyline, though. The sport needed new stars to carry it forward after the Big Three era, and they got two incredible ones in Alcaraz and Sinner. Both are young, talented, charismatic, and capable of producing the kind of tennis that brings in casual fans. The rivalry between them could define the next decade of men's tennis. Alcaraz's comment about his team is worth examining too. Splitting with Ferrero, his coach since he was a teenager, was a huge risk. They'd won multiple Grand Slams together. The partnership was clearly working, but Alcaraz wanted to evolve his game, so he made a change. And 6 weeks later, he's completing the career Grand Slam. That's either incredible timing or validation that the decision was correct. The fact that he's now won 7 Grand Slams at 22 is genuinely terrifying for the rest of the tour. If he stays healthy, which is admittedly a big if in tennis, he's on pace to potentially challenge or even surpass the Big Three's slam totals. Djokovic has 24. Nadal had 22. Federer had 20. Alcaraz already has 7, at an age where most players haven't won any. Obviously, staying healthy and maintaining this level for another decade is extremely difficult. Injuries happen. Form dips. New challengers emerge. But the trajectory is there. If Alcaraz can avoid major injuries and keep improving even slightly, 20-plus Grand Slams is absolutely realistic. That seemed impossible to say about anyone during the Big Three era, but here we are. The changing of the guard in tennis is complete. We watched it happen in real time during this tournament. Djokovic, the last remaining member of the Big Three still competing at the highest level, gave everything he had and came up short against someone who represents the future of the sport. It's poetic in a way. What makes Alcaraz special isn't just the talent. Plenty of players have talent. It's the combination of talent, work ethic, mental strength, and pure joy for the game. He plays with a smile. He celebrates amazing shots from his opponents. He shows emotion without being disrespectful. That's the kind of ambassador tennis needs right now. The 7 slams at 22 statistic is going to be repeated a lot, and it should be. That's an achievement that seemed untouchable. Borg held that record for decades. Now Alcaraz owns it, and if he stays healthy, he might extend it to a point where nobody ever breaks it again. 8 slams before 23 is very possible. 9 before 24. The numbers could get absurd. For tennis fans who grew up watching the Big Three dominate everything, this moment is bittersweet. It's exciting to see new stars emerge and make history, but it's also sad to see the Djokovic era truly end. That first set, where he looked like vintage Novak, might be the last time we see that level from him in a Grand Slam final. If so, at least he went out fighting against an all-time great performance. The ATP is in great hands, though. Alcaraz and Sinner provide the star power and talent to carry men's tennis forward. The rivalries, the drama, the incredible shot-making, it's all there. This Australian Open final proved that the future of tennis isn't something to worry about. It's already here, and it's spectacular. Carlos Alcaraz just made history in the most dominant way possible, and tennis will never be the same. The Big Three era is officially over, and the Alcaraz-Sinner era has begun. If you're excited about the future of tennis, or just love watching legends get their torches passed, smash that like button and subscribe. Drop your predictions for Alcaraz's career slam total below.